Just heading over to the Conservation Department recreation area. I'm heading for a walk down to the suspension bridge. Then I'll head for a walk up to up towards can't think of the name now. Drysdale track. That's where I'm going to head now. Doing a bit of a walk. As I say, get carbon off the valves a bit. I've been sitting around doing bookwork stuff for about a week or two. Go for a bit of a walk. Very good facilities up here. Barbecues, tables, shelter sheds. This is the Bulga Park end of a Tara Valley Bulga Park. That's the conference centre. This is the start of a trail here. It heads down to the suspension bridge. Very good little track, very well maintained. Back on the main road again now. Okay. I'm just going for a walk here in the bush. Have a look at those trees. Bit of a look here. Okay, this is where I live. This is where I live because my father, I'll just walk up here a bit, have a look. Because my father came back from World War II, ended up buying this place here, and his brothers and his mum and his dad lived here on a cleared section on the other side of the valley, on the other side of the creek. There's a creek divides up the middle. One side's farmland, the other side is this stuff. Which the experts will tell you is not virgin bush. Well, sorry, the experts may tell you it's virgin bush. It's not virgin bush, it's all been logged. It's all been logged, it's all been, in the old days, selectively logged. Anything that was good was taken out of it. Not clear felled like nowadays, so anything that wasn't of commercial value, that commercial value is a bad name nowadays. In those days it was anything that you could use to feed your family and to pay off the farm was used, and being nature, it wasn't a quarry because it regrows. As this here will tell you, look at those, see these, I'll just go for an example here. That tree fern there goes up, goes up, goes up, goes up, goes up, goes up, goes up. There's the top of it up there, right. I'm looking at that. That'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it'd be 15, 20 metres high. That's the standard size. You get little buggers all growing. Semi-clear underneath here. As you can see, this has not been cleared by anybody. This is just the way it is. Anyway, my dad come back from World War II, didn't get killed. He was a navigator on a DC-3, Dakota DC-3. In D-Day, was the sort of final end of it was D-Day, and a lot of stuff after D-Day too, because it was a transport plane, so he's towing gliders over to D-Day. I did 2 trips over there, 2 flights, which wasn't expected of people because I think the survival rate wasn't meant to be very good. He did a lot of work in Burma, flying supplies for the Chindits in Burma. If you want to research that, the Chindits were a commando type force working in Burma to stop the Japanese breaking through the top of Burma into India. That's what they had to stop them doing, because China was our ally in those days, not our enemy, and they had to keep the Chinese going with supplies. The Japanese had a pretty good grip on China, and they had to stop them getting that road through. Just a byline, the Burma Railway, bridge on the River Kwai stuff. I never knew that. The Burma Railway and the bridge is not in Burma. It's nowhere near Burma. It was actually the railway going to Burma, passing through Thailand. So you can go and see the bridge and the roadworks, but it's in the central, middle of Thailand more or less, on the way to Burma. So that name's a little bit misleading. Huffing and puffing. This was mainly for me kids. So Dad came back. He was only a young bloke. Bought a farm, Mum and Dad. Dad was sick, rheumatoid arthritis, more or less an invalid. His dad and his mum came here. They're extremely poor upbringing, living on farm labouring. To give an example, my dad, when he was a 12-year-old kid, I would say, tells one of his jobs on the station, or at Rockbank, when they had a lot of men working, bagging wheat and harvesting with draft horse teams and stuff like that. His job was to kill and hang up a couple of sheep before the day started, every day, to feed the workers and keep the food going. And hence he says back then, he said, if you're a man, you went for a job as a farm labourer, or whatever you want to call it, working. If you had a son who wasn't a man, in other words not 18 or 16, you could get the job, but the man, your son, he worked for free. That was a bonus for the employer to give you work. The young bloke worked for free. Everybody worked. And as my dad recalls, there's lots of stories, I've got to put them down, I'll put some here. He said Sunday was a day off. He said Sunday we didn't have to work. He said all we had to do on Sunday was repair all our equipment, which in those days, horses, saddles, boots, all the accessories you had when you were working as a labouring. There was just heaps and heaps of work. You had to repair your work, sew up your clothes, do everything. And of course in those days religion was the king, Christianity ruled, and everybody had to go to church, which was a good thing in one way because it was a good social network and people actually got to see each other. Whereas nowadays people don't set any time to meet the other members of their community, which is something that we're back on the track again. Now see this track here, this is the old Balook to Elgin Road. This is the boundary, looking southish. That side is roadside, that side is my dad's place. You'll just be walking through it, it's all the same, it's just, we'll call it virgin bush for want of a name. So him and his brothers had a great time here, back from the war, brothers come back from the war, they all lived in the guest house, they had plans of the guest house being a financial income. They did have buses pulling in regularly, but unfortunately it was a depression type, not the big depression, just a downturn. came, and the guests didn't turn up in the numbers as what they had planned. Like all things nowadays, same. Even up here now, I go to Elgin and I go to Yarram, and they have to fill in, government things. Where do you live? Balook. And they look at you vaguely and say, where is that? Now that's less than half an hour away. Nobody knows where Balook is. It's a very forgotten place. Now, have a look at that tree there. We'll go up. And another one beside him. These trees are huge mountain ash trees. The fires have never got to this side of this particular valley, as far as, well, living memory. I think my theory is, for some reason, being on top of the ridge, the fires come from a Elgin direction. They come roaring up the valleys, burn everything. Throwing bloody sparks, embers they call them. Talking embers, it's sticks the size of broomsticks being blown through the air for 2 kilometres. Yeah, embers is a bit of a falsehood. Look at that down there. Oh my God. Yeah, embers is a falsehood. Anyway, this stuff here, I think when I get to the top of the ridge, the pointy part of the ridge of the hill, because of the heat of the fires on the north side coming up, it sucks air from the south side, ferociously sucks it into the area of the fire and upwards. So when it gets to the pointy bit at the top, I think a lot of the heat is sucked uphill, and a wind in the opposite direction coming into the fire tends to slow it down. Then the firefighters nowadays can get in there and stop it at the ridge, where you can't even pretend to stop it coming up the valley. You just don't. Just get out of there. But that's the line. And yes, it is a wet side of a valley, but as I've seen up in high country, people talk about the wet side, bush, growth will stop a fire. No, it won't. It won't stop a fire. It'll stop embers dropping, but up in the high country, you get the big fires go through. It's like an atomic bomb. It burns absolutely everything. They're blaming the deer for damaging the sphagnum moss swamps up there. After the big fires went through, I went and checked out an area where there's a massive, great big sphagnum moss swamp, 3 or 4 foot thick sphagnum moss dripping water, and there's a couple of deer tracks through it and wallaby tracks. Everybody picks on the deer, but wallabies make tracks too. Guess what? That was completely burnt. Now it's saturated with water fed from a spring. Completely burnt just to the dirt by the massive big bushfire. So being wet will not protect you. It's like putting a bit of wet newspaper in a bonfire. It's not going to stop the wet newspaper burning. It'll burn. It's just all maps about the heat and such. Look at that. Okay, they told me I've got to film with the sun behind me. There was a bloke on Macca this morning. This is a Sunday. Have a look at that tree up there. Wow. You can't get the height here. You can't get the size. It doesn't represent itself on the video. And I've got to learn to move slowly. Yeah, taking photos. He says you get the ISO and the bloody, all these little, the 3 combinations of a triangle. He says everybody concentrates on that. He said one of the main things they keep forgetting all the time is to get the sun behind them. It's a very basic one, but I'm not doing it because I'm walking into the sun. Look at that down there. Somebody has gone along the Strzelecki track, mountain ash, somebody on the photo there, modern times. These signs are really good, but I have stopped and read them, and there is an absolute bias against the original settlers. There's an absolute bias towards even implying things that the settlers set fire to the whole bush so that they could get some dirt. Now, if you've got farms scattered throughout the bush, farmless people trying to cut their little little paddocks in the bush so they can survive, scattered throughout this country. They're not going to deliberately start a massive bushfire. Yeah, I believe sometimes bushfires did get started accidentally, as in they do nowadays, but the factors people don't understand is lightning storms will start far more bushfires than campers, firebugs. And how do you control a bloody mentally deranged person who just wants to go and start fires, you know? That's almost an act of God, you can't stop them. But lightning, you know, how do you stop lightning starting a fire? You know, you can't. And if you look at if you want to get tied up with statistics, have a look at how many lightning strikes there are over a period, because they can study all this stuff nowadays. I recorded, I've seen the data. But I don't, statistics are just lies and damn lies, but the figures are there about lightning strikes and where they strike. How do you control that? You can't. Anyway, this is the old boundary, that side there. All that down there, heading across that valley, is my dad's. Now, okay, we're coming on to Drysdale's track here. This is the old Elgin Road, walking along here. And we're coming on Drysdale's track, which down there further is the northern boundary of the property. Nick and Steph and Sam and Cassie and everybody, you got Google Maps and all that stuff, Lassie map, LASSI I think it's called, land statistics, whatever they call it. You just look on that, you'll see the boundary, what I mean with Drysdale's track. Okay folks, that's just a bit of a summary of Bulga Park, Bulga Park and Balook. Cheers.